Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sarah Carino-Koza. I'm the band director here at Spotswood High School. And on behalf of my colleagues, Christina Racine, Lauren Hengeli, Spotswood High School Principal Amy Jablonski, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to, I can't believe I'm saying this, the 15th annual District Bands Night at Spotswood High School. Hooray. So the instrumental music department in both Spotswood and Milltown offer one of the most rapidly growing programs in our districts. With the Appleby School, Memorial School, the Joyce Kilmer School, and Spotswood High School combined, we hear close to 300 young musicians every day, and that is nearly 20% of the students in our district. More important than the numbers, of course, is the quality of the music and the experience that our students get from being members of the band. Lifelong friendships are formed. They're part of a team which builds character, resilience, and a good work ethic, and they're exposed to cultural experiences that aren't offered in other areas of study. As members of the Spotswood High School Band, your child will stand among the top students in the school community. Competing up and down the East Coast and the Midwest, the Spotswood High School bands continually rise above their peers and have achieved numerous first-place finishes, esprit de corps awards, and ratings of superior and excellent. Make no mistake about it, your child will be part of one of the most consistently successful programs in Spotswood history, and they will also then be part of that legacy. The goal of this concert is to provide the 7th and 8th grade students with the experience of high school before they actually arrive here. And we feel as though it's imperative for them to have as smooth of a transition as they can from middle school to high school, which, as we all experienced at one point in our lives, it's a tricky transition. This is also a wonderful opportunity for the students to meet their future classmates from both districts. And tonight as our audience, you will get a very unique experience, something that we like to call a master class. The students on stage will be performing their piece for the first time together as a whole group. And we'll be able to show you, just through demonstrating, what a standard band rehearsal looks like. This evening, as I mentioned, is also about you, the parents, family, and friends. Your involvement and support of the Spotswood High School Band program is just as important as your child's participation in class every day. The Band Parent Association at the high school is literally the foundation upon which we are able to do the many things that we do. So in an effort to make your transition to the high school as smooth as the one that we hope to create for your children, I've invited the Spotswood Band Parent Association to introduce itself. Again, on behalf of the whole instrumental music department, I want to thank the administrative teams of both districts, Graham Peabody, Amy Jablonski, Brian Kitchen, Dr. Stephanie Brown, William Veet, Jackie Citro, and of course the Spotswood Board of Education under the leadership of William Smith, who all continue to make it their priority to bridge the gap between the Spotswood and Milltown communities. Also, of course, on a personal note, I would like to thank Christina Racine and Lauren Hengeli, my colleagues, for their dedication to music education and for their collaboration on this event. It is true that unlike teachers of other subject areas, music teachers get actual applause for the work that we do in the classroom, but only a fellow music teacher can understand and appreciate the hours and effort that go into producing an outstanding result. So we are truly fortunate to have these professionals in our field. Once again, thank you so much for supporting your child's involvement in the arts programs that we have in Milltown and Spotswood. I'm very excited for you to see what the students have prepared for you. They've been working very hard individually, and you'll get to see it kind of shine collectively tonight. And now it is my pleasure to introduce the Spotswood Band Parent Association President, Mrs. Dawn Schwartz.
Good evening and welcome to District Bands Night. My name is Dawn Schwartz and I am honored to be speaking to you on behalf of the Spotswood Band Parents Association. We are a group of parents dedicated in assisting Mrs. Carino-Koza with her band program. Our main function is fundraising. We have 3 different focuses for our fundraising efforts. The first is raising money to put towards our annual band trip, which has taken us to Boston, Virginia, and this year, Washington, D.C. The children have had the opportunity to perform and be evaluated by experts and compared to other high schools around the eastern United States. This trip also provides the children with a chance to tour the area and build bonds that are not quickly forgotten. Last year, we raised $7,000, which enabled us to provide our students with $130 each to put towards the trip. Our board members volunteer their time to chaperone this trip as well. Our second fundraising goal has been to provide new equipment for our band. Over the years, we have raised thousands of dollars for a new parade banner, as well as replaced our 40-year-old percussion instruments, such as the xylophone, vibraphone, chimes, and timpani. Last year, we purchased a new amp for our traveling performances and a handcart to transfer our equipment more easily. Finally, we are responsible for raising money to purchase awards, food, and supplies for our annual awards banquet. We do this through additional fundraisers, concert refreshment sales, and our 50-50 raffle. This year, our banquet will be held on Thursday, May 21st. Besides coordinating all of these fundraising efforts, our board members are responsible for distributing, collecting, and cleaning band apparel and making sure that all students are taken care of during the fundraising efforts, such as canning, car washes, and clothing drives. Now, I know that this sounds like a lot, but I promise you that the experience, both you and your child, is a rewarding one. The more help we have, the better band experience your children will have. With that being said, I need to appeal to all parents of both current and incoming band students. Next year, our executive board members will be leaving since our children will be seniors. Out of the 12 board members we have this year, 8 of us will have seniors next year, including the positions of president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. As I look to the future, I see our Band Parents Association changing hands all at once. Please consider joining us next year to see what we are all about, and consider a leadership role to continue our mission after we are gone. I also ask that you please consider supporting us this evening by contributing to our refreshments or 50-50, or purchasing tickets for our breakfast at Applebee's, and allow the children to wait on you for a change. And that all 8th grade parents please stop by and leave us your email address so that we may invite you to join us for next year. Elections for officers and general board members will take place here at our general meeting in the band room on Monday, May 11th at 7:30. I want to thank you for your time, and please enjoy the show.
Thank you, Mrs. Schwartz. I have to echo her comments in saying that it is always exciting. Change is exciting, but for so many of our executive board members who this is their youngest child that is now a senior and will be graduating, they've been here for some of them, 10 years. It is a bit daunting for them to sort of be handing over the keys of something that they have built so well. So I encourage all of you to get involved at whatever levels you feel like you can. I think you'll find that it's an amazing cohort of community members, many of whom you probably know. And I know I spoke earlier about how your children will be making lifelong friendships and bonds, but that goes for you as well. The band is very much a family, and the more you're able to get involved and sort of spend time with your neighbors and community members, the more enriching it is for you as well. So I want to again thank you to Mrs. Schwartz for being here and telling you a little bit about how integral the band parent organization is to us here at the high school. So now I'm going to introduce a face that many of you know. It is Christina Racine, who is not only an alumna of Joyce Kilmer School and Spotswood High School, but now she is the middle school band choir and all the things musical director. And she's a former student of mine, as well as Miss Hengeli. So we're very proud of her, obviously, and she'll tell you a little bit about some stuff that you'll hear in a few minutes. So, Mrs. Racine.
Good evening, everybody. Usually I use my very loud teacher voice, but right now I have a very soft teacher voice because I have very much a teacher cold and can't take cold medicine. So anyway, I just wanted to share the fact that the District Bands Night concert is usually one of my favorite nights of the year, as Mrs. Carino-Koza mentioned, because I am a lifelong Milltown resident. I grew up in Milltown and was a student of Ms. Hengeli, came here to Spotswood and had Mrs. Carino-Koza when she was just Miss Carino and I was Miss Santoro, and it was the wild early 2000s. And this night is so special because I see the students walking through town carrying their instruments home after school when I'm driving home from Memorial, and to see them and get to work with the Milltown kids, who some of them are my neighbors, which I kind of felt creepy discovering, but I see them walking down the street with their instruments. So it's really a great experience for me to be able to work with all of the students who are in what I consider to be my community of Spotswood, Milltown, and Halmetta. So I'm always honored when I get to step in front of the high school jazz band plus the Memorial Jazz Band at this concert. The first piece that we will be playing, which will be our one combined piece with Milltown and Spotswood, is Forget You, performed by CeeLo Green.
Okay, so I was telling the story earlier today when someone had asked, how many rehearsals have you had before this concert? And I said, actually 0. No, I'm not crazy. I guess about a decade ago, we had been doing a dress rehearsal before this concert, and then the day of the dress rehearsal, there was a massive snowstorm, and we couldn't do the rehearsal. So the band director at Memorial at the time, who was not Mrs. Racine, I'm not sure if it was Mrs. Shaughnessy or Miss Backus, and Miss Hengeli and I just kind of talked over email, and we said, why don't we just do the concert anyway? The whole purpose of this concert is to really give the 7th and 8th grade students an experience of high school band. It's not necessarily about the quality of the music, although of course that would be quite good. However, the feedback that I got from parents, administrators, for the insight that you got into what it looks like to sort of for your child to be in a band rehearsal was a very unique experience. So we just sort of kept it in the same format, and that's kind of what we're excited to present to you tonight. So this piece is by John Higgins, and it's called Serengeti, and it's really celebratory of wonderful, iconic, themes and rhythmic structure that you find in African and tribal music. So it's a great opportunity for percussionists to play some new and interesting instruments. We get to feature some lovely call and responses in the woodwinds and the brass. And so we'll be talking you through that tonight. I'll be showcasing different parts of the ensemble, so you get to hear a little bit probably from your child. And you'll probably learn a little bit about African drumming tonight, because we have quite a few instruments back there. The way that we typically do this is the high school wind ensemble is going to play the piece first, so we all sort of hear it, and then we're going to bring the 7th and 8th graders in, so you can really hear the full group on stage, and then we'll be working with them a little bit, and then we'll do a final performance at the end. That would really, again, it's a very truncated version of what your child experiences from the first time they read a piece of music all the way until you see them at a winter or a spring concert. So again, this is John Higgins' Serengeti, and this will be the Spotswood High School Honors Wind Ensemble. Thank you. Thank you for your applause. So now, 7th and 8th graders, where are you at? If you're in 7th and 8th grade, raise your hand. Yes. Okay, are you guys ready to play? Are you ready to play? Yes. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, so let's do it, guys. That's why you weren't ready to play. You knew you needed your drummers. Excellent. We're good. We're ready to go. Okay. The suspense is killing me. There we go. How about so far so good? Well done. So I would say one of the more difficult things about this piece in particular is that right from the beginning it starts quite soft. And so when they're very eager to play, they got a lot of air, they have to manage that. So to not start loud right away is a little bit of, they need maturity for that. So I'd say you guys did a fantastic job. There's also another thing in the beginning, again, because it starts quite soft and slow, right before we get into it, they really have to watch because the music kind of pauses for one moment, something we call fermata. We just hold on to the note and then they have to look up at the conductor, which they did quite well. So we're now, guys, we're all going to go back to measure 14, okay? So check your music for measure 14. And I really want to feature a few different sections. So we're going to first, of course, start with the percussionist. So this is something in music that we call an ostinato. An ostinato is just a repeated pattern over and over and over again that sets the rhythm, shall we say. And then they are often layered with other different kinds of rhythmic patterns. So this is a really good example of this. And again, it's something that is somewhat inherent in African tribal music. So we're going to first let the percussionist shine. So we're at measure 14. Okay, so percussion at measure 14. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, and go. Excellent, excellent. So we have in that section, we have some lower drums, we have some toms, we have some maracas that are kind of like a, keeping like a shaky kind of beat. And then we have this wonderful melody in the mallet percussion. We can play it on xylophone, we can play it on the vibraphone, you can double it on the marimba. So I'm going to separate all those things out so you guys can hear it. So if you play the tom part, if you're on percussion 1, let me hear what you got. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready and go. Okay, great job. Bravo. Claps for them. They did great. Okay, so now we're going to add in two favorite instruments. We got the shaker, which are sometimes we play it with using maracas, and also there's an instrument called a shaker, believe it or not. And then also almost everyone's favorite instrument, the cowbell. So if you play the shaker or the cowbell, we're going to start at measure 14. Here we go. 2, 3, 1, ready and go. And then you get the idea, right? So now we're going to put all those pieces together. So all of the tom parts, the shaker, and the cowbell. Measure 14. 2, 3, 1, ready and go. Great. So not only do they need to know their own part, but they need to know how their part interacts with the other parts. Because it's very easy to hear something different, and that's where your ear goes. But they have to be super focused on what they're playing. But again, know how that sort of communicates with the other parts that they hear around them. So now we're going to add in the melodic element, which is of course played by our mallet players. So guys, we're starting 2 measures after 14, right where your part comes in. Okay. So this is mallets at measure 16. 2, 3, 1, ready and go. Quite good, yeah? I love that. It's so lovely. Okay, so now let's put all those parts together. And I want to add the bass clarinet, the bari sax, the trombone, the baritone horn, and the tuba. So now you're going to hear an ostinato pattern played by wind players, not just percussion. So essentially you've heard 3 patterns. Now you're going to hear a 4th, and they're all going to be layered on top of each other. So here we go, 14, all of those instruments plus all the percussion. We're at 14. Here we go. 2, 3, 1, ready and go. Good. All right. How about a round of applause for those guys? Sounding awesome. So now we bring in what you would probably call the melody. So this is the thing that you would probably walk away humming if you get it in your head. And that's going to be played by the trumpets, the alto saxophones to start. So trumpet and alto saxophones, we are going to start at measure 18. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready and go. Good, excellent. Well done, guys. So that is the first time that we hear this melody. And then, as I was referring to earlier, we have a little bit of a call and response. So the response to that, the echo, is going to be kind of in our upper woodwinds. So now, flute and clarinet, you guys are going to join us. And we're going to start like 3 measures after 18. So it's where you guys come in after measure 14. Now I'm going to give your parents a little bit of homework here. So the upper woodwinds are going to be playing one of the melodies that you just heard in the percussion section. They're going to be playing something that you just heard from one of those instruments. And after they're done playing, I'm going to poll the audience, and you're going to tell me what instrument you think you heard. So that last little bit, any takers on what instrument you heard that in? Xylophone, I heard somebody say. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the mallet instruments. Good job. See, your parents are paying attention. They're doing a good, congratulations. Good job. Okay, so let's put all this together. We are now at measure 14. This is everybody. We're at 14. So that's obviously a very different section. This section is actually called Voodoo. So you really get this ominous sort of sound. And there are interesting effects in this part that we don't often see. And so it really gives the kids something fun to play. Especially brass players tend to play the trumpet and the trombone because they make funny noises. It's very easy to make a funny noise on the trumpet. So John Higgins has called their bluff and actually programmed a funny noise into the piece for them to play in the form of what we call a trill. It's basically they see a note that's written and then they have to go very, very quickly as fast as they can between the next note up in the scale. So I'm going to have the trumpets demonstrate that. Trumpets, are you ready to trill? They're so ready for it. They're like, I've been waiting my whole life to do this trill. Okay, so trumpets, do me a favor and let's play 62, right? Your trill, okay? And I'm just going to give you a cue and you're just going to trill until you run out of air. Yep, it's not a joke. You can totally do it. Okay, here we go. Ready? If that's not voodoo-like, I don't know what is. Now, they have it kind of plugged into other parts in the band as well. So the upper woodwinds get to trill, the clarinets get to trill, the trumpets get to trill again, the saxophones get to trill. So if you have a trill in measure 72, anywhere in measure 72, if you have a trill, why don't you just play that for me, okay? If you're trilling in measure 72, play that trill. Here we go, ready, yeah. So if any of you parents heard that when they were practicing at home, they were actually not messing around. That's actually written in the music. So if they said, Mom, I have to practice my trill, I'm like, yeah, why don't you go outside? It's a nice day. Practice your trill outside. Okay, so now we're going to add in some other cool parts. So we're going to start, again, guys, at measure 62. The one thing that I want us to really hear as loud as we can hear it is the gong. So if we could hear what the gong sounds like, for starters. Pretty cool. It's pretty neat. Whenever percussionists see the gong written into one of their pieces, they get very excited. Like, can I play the gong? It's oftentimes maybe 1 or 2 times they get to play it in the piece, but it's like the best 3 seconds of their life to that point. So when we come on the gong part, let's do it twice, so we can have 2 different people try and get the experience of playing the gong. Okay. So this is going to be everybody at measure 62, and we want a forte gong. Forte. So the gong really adds a nice, fun, percussive and somewhat pitch-related element to a piece. Let's do it again. And Samara, if you'd like to pass the gong mallet to someone. Okay, all right. So when you play the gong, it's not quite like hitting a home run, but it's close. So you're just going to tap it right in the middle. Give it a tap. You can actually tap it a little louder than that. You were meant to play the gong. Okay, so 62 with our new gong player. And what is your name, sir? Simon? Simon the gong player, everyone. Great job, Simon. Okay, so now we're skipping ahead to the third section here, which is called Celebration. And it's another one of those instances where you have a bunch of different percussion rhythmic patterns that are layered, but they start to kind of, be a bit more fast as the piece goes on. So here we feature one instrument that you may or may not have heard of. It's called the guiro. We affectionately call it the scrapey thing because you actually have to scrape it. So who's got the guiro back there? Oh, there you are. Can you scrape the guiro and let us hear it? You can actually push in just a little bit more so we hear it. Yeah, excellent, excellent. So the guiro is usually when you get a traditional guiro, it's made out of like a gourd, so some kind of like piece of wood or squash that they sort of like dry, and it makes this very cool sound. There are divots in it, and you play it with a scraper. So we see it in Latin music actually, but it occasionally pops up in some of these African pieces as well. So we have the guiro. We also have the shaker. The shaker is back, and then the bongos. So can somebody play me something on the bongos so we can hear the bongos? So those are the bongos, often a lot in Latin music. Thank you, Max. That's Max, our junior percussionist and wind ensemble, playing the bongos. And then we also have the triangle, which is shaped like a triangle, as it turns out. There you have it. There's the triangle. Okay. So all of those pieces, did I miss any? I think I got them all. All of those pieces form our ostinato pattern that's going to support this next section. So percussion, let's hear you guys at 74. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and go. Okay, guys, excellent job. I'm going to say that you can probably play all of your instruments just a little bit louder, because when the band comes in, we're going to still want to hear you, so you guys can really play it. Okay, try again. Here we go. 74. 1, 2, ready, and go. Yes. Okay, excellent, excellent. So we're going to bring the rest of the band in. Guys, we're starting at 74. So that was so beautiful at the end there. One of my favorite things about doing this concert is that occasionally in the music, and I look up and they're all playing, and if I closed my eyes for a split second, I would swear they were all high school kids. And there was one of those moments actually, a few measures before 110. So one of the harder things that you have to do as a wind player is manage your air. You can't just use all of your air on every note. Sometimes the softer notes actually require more air and more endurance, because you have to manage it. You can't let all of your air out on one note. And then wind players, of course, have like the added challenge of trying to keep the note in tune so it doesn't sound like a wrong note. So there's lots of things going on. So to have to do all of that and then play as soft as you can is very difficult for even high school and professional musicians. So for the middle school students to be able to keep up and make it sound just as beautiful as they did is very impressive, and definitely something that you guys have clearly worked on. And I don't think it was a happy accident. I think it's something you probably do well. So can we all start at, we're going to start in measure 4 before 110. So 4 measures before 110, guys. And for the audience, I just want you to try and close your eyes and listen to the music. These are some really beautiful chords. They should really just, I call it sometimes a musical kaleidoscope, where they just kind of shift and change just a little bit. It'll be a very fun experience for you. So that just gives you a little bit of a taste of, what your child is experiencing. Mrs. Racine's band rehearsals, Mrs. Hengeli's band rehearsals. At the high school we get so much time to really delve into the nuance of, the meaning of one note. And the middle school well prepares them for that experience. So to be able to give them a little taste of that here is always exciting, and I always hope that they get as much out of it that I hope that they do. And we were talking in Wind Ensemble the other day of, how many of our seniors and juniors currently remember the kids that they sat next to who were the high school students when they did District Bands Night, and they remember their names, they remember why they remember that, particular student. Maybe they were a great sax player, a great trumpet player, and now they're sitting in those seats. So 7th and 8th graders, I know it might seem like a crazy idea, but in about 2 to 3 years, you could be sitting right on the stage again, and there are going to be some other 7th and 8th graders who are going to be looking up to you guys as sort of model musicians and something to aspire to. I know it seems like a million years away, but it's closer than you think. So now what we're going to do is fast forward, and this will be the performance of Serengeti, start to stop. And 7th and 8th graders, I hope you guys have had a great time. Take advantage of this experience. Remember all the great music that you made tonight, and use that to inspire you to practice just a little bit more every day. And soon enough, you'll be up at the high school making great music with other young budding musicians. So here we go. Okay, so to cap off the evening, the Wind Ensemble has something for you guys to hear. Middle school kids, I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. This is probably a song that you don't know, I'm going to guess, unless you came to our winter concert. This is a piece we did for our winter concert. It's called Secret Agent Santa. So it's a fun little tongue-in-cheek taking of lots of different, themes from spy movies, James Bond, your run-of-the-mill mystery movie or TV show, and has plugged it in with lots of different holiday carols. So we have some cool effects happening in the percussion section. They get to play in a bunch of different fun meters. So this, for those of you who are in middle school, this is kind of a good example of some of the fun stuff that you get to play when you get to high school. I know you guys are already playing some really fun stuff in middle school, but just because you come to the high school doesn't mean that it's all serious all the time. We do a lot of serious stuff, but we do shake it up and do some fun stuff every once in a while. It was so fun, in fact, that at the winter concert we actually wore sunglasses when we played this one to really do it right. So we hope you enjoy it. This is an arrangement by Tom Wallace, and it is called Secret Agent Santa. right, so I can't tell you how pleased I am with, first of all, the 7th and 8th graders and how well they prepare for this event. Especially, I am grateful to Ms. Hengeli and Mrs. Racine for taking time out of their rehearsal schedule, of which I know is not a lot. I mean, no director will ever say, I have so much rehearsal time. Oh, I just don't need it. So any time that they have to carve out for this event is so appreciated. So thank you. Can we have a nice round of applause for Ms. Hengeli and Mrs. Racine? Thank you both so much. 7th and 8th graders, you are very lucky to have two wonderful directors who not only care about you as people, but they care about you as musicians, and they very much like to come back to District Bands Night to see you on stage as a high school student. Yes, indeed. And so I hope that you continue to practice. Practicing is part of the gig, unfortunately, but when you get to be a bit better, and then a bit better, and then a bit better, it makes it so much more worthwhile. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you on stage as high school students in the next year or two. If you're in 8th grade next year, you will be up here. This will be your home base, so you should be really excited for all that's to come for you. And once again, I just want to thank all of you for your support, as well as the band parent organization. I'll echo what Mrs. Schwartz said earlier with getting involved. It doesn't have to be, a whole lot of your time, just a little bit helps. And we're happy to have you here in high school with your child. And I guess that all there is to say is thank you so much for coming tonight, and we hope that you drive safely to wherever you're going, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. Good night, everyone.